And welcome back to part 6 of What If Naruto in a Devil Fruit, the Kage Kage no Mio edition. Last time we had the tuning exams preliminary matches come to an end. Pretty much everyone's matches went the same, if not better. Sasuke, without the curse mark, had a much easier time with Yori. Naruto had a much easier time with Kiba. And everyone else's matches stayed about the same. There was really no difference in terms of who could win, who would lose, all that. It stayed pretty much the same. That means the matches also for the actual finals also remain the same, with Naruto getting ready to fight Neji and Kakashi pawning him off to Ebisu. Now, we cut over to Ebisu trying to train Naruto, and Naruto is getting the water walking down pretty easily. He doesn't have the 5-prong seal affecting his chakra at all, so he is able to get it down pretty quickly. Only for Ebisu to get his teeth kicked in by Gamma from Jiraiya. And so now we deal with Naruto meeting Jiraiya for the first time. Naruto and Jiraiya their interaction would stay pretty much the same until Naruto starts to use his shadow to threaten Jiraiya a little bit, and Jiraiya kind of hardens his gaze a bit as he's heard rumors that Naruto has this ability. And he says, like, so it's true, he does have the ability to manipulate his shadow. Interesting. It's like, you're not going anywhere, huh? It's like, sorry, kid, don't have time to play. And it just is a flashbang. Not like a true flashbang where it affects his ears, but enough that it temporarily blinds him and it distorts the shadow. Someone brought up, like, Naruto should have evolved past the point where his shadow would have been affected by fire jutsu. And someone countered that argument with my argument. That's not how that would work. Yes, Naruto can impart some of his chakra into his shadow, but predominantly the shadow is its own thing. It's got its own set of weaknesses and strengths. It can't really be physically hurt, but things like fire, chakra, anything that produces light or energy would be outside that purview. So his shadow would still be very vulnerable to things like that. Or things that could distort it, or theoretically things that could destroy it. Like, again, energy, fire, lightning, stuff like that. So yeah, a brief flashbang might not destroy the shadow, but it will effectively warp it and be like, it's like, where did it go? And so ultimately, Naruto keeps hounding Jiraiya. They do the whole get like a big, you know what I'm saying? It's like, watermelons! Because Naruto, the guy who invented the sexy jutsu, didn't pick up onto what Jiraiya was saying. I have no justification for that. I got nothing for that one. That's just for funny. That's just for comedy. And so he then shows the sexy jutsu. It's like, oh yeah, you're a genius, kid. I'll train you, but I gotta do one favor. You gotta stay like that. You're just a little bird. That's not true. I'm a big one. And proud of it. But no, ultimately he does agree to train Naruto. And he notes Naruto has got the water walking down pretty easily. He doesn't need to do the seal release. He doesn't need to really do much. Because Naruto, once he removed the seal, had water walking down like, 1 second. Come on, snap. There we go. Like that. It's one of those things, sometimes you just don't get the right with your finger. But yeah, Naruto can get the water walking down immediately as soon as he even had started to get it down with Ebisu training him with the other seal on it, with the pride prong on him. Once Jiraiya removed it, he had it down like that. And so Jiraiya is looking at him. He's also looking at Naruto training with his shadow. I think one of the things Naruto can actually do and has learned to figure it out to do with his shadow is because his shadow can act on its own and like completely separate from him, he actually uses it as like a jutsu partner. Actual shadow boxing, if you will. Now, because the shadow doesn't have a true physical form, Naruto notes he can't really beat his shadow in a fight, at least not in a straight physical fight. But he does it to actually improve his form, and that's one of the things Naruto's probably doing alongside water walking at the moment. Jiraiya is still going to try to teach him the summoning jutsu to access the Fox chakra. He explains the whole things. You ever feel like there's a second chakra in there, boy? And it's like, yeah, all the time. And so, yeah, Naruto's going to be learning pretty much the summoning jutsu. There's not much different with Naruto's training here. Naruto's really just working on the techniques he can work on by himself. because Jiraiya doesn't, I don't think Jiraiya would really have any way of training Naruto with his shadow. This would be something for like the Naras to work with him on. Now you might be asking, why not have him train with a Nara? True, but that's short freaking notice. Add on the fact that the Naras are lazy as hell, and I suppose Kakashi could have pulled in a favor to like Shikida or something. Not Shikida. Shikidai is his son, actually. Shikaku. I guess he could have pulled in a favor to Shikaku. Thinking on it now, they probably should have done that. But we're just sticking with what we're sticking with. That being said, they are also clan heads, so... And that's also doing clan secrets. So it's possible you don't really look into that. In fact, honestly, the Naruto clan probably didn't even know Naruto could do that. Maybe they had heard whispers. Until Shikamaru comes back, tells them what happened, say, yeah, Naruto, he has the ability to manipulate his shadow as well. I'm not exactly sure how. It's different from ours. Is it really? That's interesting. I'll have to talk to Kakashi about that. You're sure he didn't steal clan secrets? Naruto's done a lot of stupid stuff, Dad, but I don't think he even knows where our clan compound is, to be honest. And they think about it and they remember hearing how bad Naruto's grades were. Like, good point. Besides, yeah, despite his troublemaker side, he's actually a pretty good kid, from what I understand. Nah, he's all right. And so they're hearing about this through Shikamaru. Meanwhile, Naruto spends this whole time either training with the summoning jutsu or just brushing up on his taijutsu or his shadow abilities that he's able to brush up on. Jiraiya even at one point comments, like, is this really all you can do with your shadow, kid? I mean, I'm sure there's more to it than that. And Naruto actually comments, there is another ability the shadow has, but I'm not really all that fond of it. Or that I have from it, but I'm not really fond of it, nor have I ever used it. Huh? What are you talking about? And then Naruto goes, and he actually goes and gets a fish. And basically, because they're near a river while they're training, so he actually goes and catches a couple of fish. He waits for them to pretty much just suffocate, and then he summons his shadow. And Shadow actually goes in and just goes, opens his mouth and pulls out 2 shadows and puts it in the fish. And the fish suddenly comes back to life and goes in the water so it can breathe. Although technically speaking, because they're zombies, probably doesn't even need to breathe. So the fish is just kind of like flopping around. It's like, this is what I'm talking about. It's like, holy crap, what the hell? And even dry is like, what the hell? One of the abilities I have is to steal other people's shadow. I can even just hold on to them indefinitely, even funnel them in and feed them into my shadow. But the real key ability is that I can actually funnel it, put that shadow into a corpse and animate it and control it on my will. And it's like, whoa. And then he just finally retrieves the shadow back from the fish, and the fish die as they're cooking it for lunch. He's like, yeah, but I don't really want to use that ability if I can help it. I mean, it requires having corpses on standby. And I've had some people suggest that maybe he could use the shadow clone for it. I don't think you could use the shadow clone for it. It is described specifically as corpses, or basically empty vessels. The shadow clones are not that. They still carry a portion, however small, of the user's actual soul and personality and all that. So shadow clones can't be used for that, unfortunately. Yeah, there are probably workarounds. In fact, I can theoretically see some workarounds within the time skip, but they'll have to be with the time skip, not with that. Not right now. And Jiraiya is thinking on it. It's like, interesting. Well, there might be some workarounds, though. We'll have to figure it out. So wait. You're saying you can steal shadows? So you're saying you can steal shadows, right? Yeah, but I also don't like to do that either. It puts people into a coma, and if you're in the sun, you're pretty much toast after a while. So what do you mean? All of a sudden, Naruto uses his shadow, uses his shadow to grab another fish's shadow, which fish can still cast shadows as long as there's light. He steals that and just, and all of a sudden the fish bursts into flames. Just, yeah, that. I mean, if they go into a coma immediately and you're in direct sunlight because you don't have a shadow, just bursts you into flames. Naruto says it's not natural. Shadows are part of us. They're a connection to our souls. And if you remove that, you technically remove a person's soul. It's an absolute rule of life that my power just seems to be able to kind of say no to. And Jiraiya is just thinking about the fundamental nature. Like, this is disturbing. Useful, but disturbing. And so Joe, let's just get back to your training. So, all right. And then the summoning. Ultimately, Naruto still can't summon anything beyond the little minuscule toads and tadpoles. So Jiraiya, yoink, pops him off the roof. It's like, ah, Jiraiya! And or the edge of the canyon, he summons Gamabunta! I am the great chief, don't Gamabunta, and you're an idiot! So he summons Gamabunta, and the challenge to stay on Gamabunta's head comes into play. Now that said, Naruto has a much easier time staying up here. Despite the fact his chakra is still nearly gone, he is able to just use his shadow, which doesn't technically need his chakra. It can just have his chakra funneled into it. He simply uses his chakra to continually stay on the toad, keeping his shadow on there, kind of melding on the toad. Naruto just keeps swapping places with it, and it just keeps returning to him. Ultimately, Naruto stays on top of his head, passes out. Gamabunta acknowledges him and sends him to the hospital. The only other thing that would happen here is the confrontation with Shikamaru, Gaara, and Naruto. Gaara's about to kill Lee. Shikamaru comes in, and Naruto comes in and just cracks him in the face, mainly not realizing that was a bad move. And Naruto and Gaara and him have their conversation. Gaara says, I'm a real monster, you're just like me. And so Naruto gets very scared very quickly. But he, nuts up enough to summon his own shadow. Be like, I don't want to have to fight you here, but I'll do it if I have to. He's nervous as hell, though. This isn't like the last later on where he'll be like, I'll protect him no matter what, even if I have to kill you. Yeah. No, it's not happening here. So they're squaring off, his shadow's ready, and then Guy comes in and interrupts everything. And so everything leading up to the fight would still go the same. Naruto is feeling a little down. Hinata encourages him, and he's almost late. You get that little filler bit where he's almost late. And then him and Neji finally square off. It's like, this is a losing battle. Fate has destined me to win. So anything you have to say for yourself, I'm gonna win. And then Naruto comes in, and they go into hand-to-hand. Then, believe it or not, I think Naruto would still do this because, he could fight just with his shadow, but it's actually better that he's fighting hand-to-hand with his shadow in conjunction, because this keeps Neji on his toes and makes actual pinpoint accuracy a bit more difficult because his focus is split. And so Naruto and Neji are duking out. Neji's about to go in for attack before the shadow suddenly comes in and just says, not gonna happen! And then just almost lands a shot on Neji, for Neji just comes in again, the shadow blocks him again. Neji, though, seeing that there is just a faint bit of chakra in the shadow, is able to basically use his chakra points and basically kind of unleash chakra outwards and just kind of force the shadow back briefly. Naruto gets in close, about to land another shot before Neji's like, no! And then finally lands that shot in the shoulder where he actually missed. The shadow backtracks as well. They're standing together. Well, this isn't gonna be as fun. We can't take. And Naruto's just thinking it over. It's like, we can't take his shadow. That would kill him in this light. And then he thinks if a cloud blocks out the sun, he would still be able to cast a big enough shadow that I could steal it. Isn't that the thing? With the sun out like it is, Naruto can't be stealing shadows from at least allies, because that's going to pretty much kill them unless he can get them into the shade immediately. And then he needs enough light for a shadow to still be cast. So if it gets overcast, if he's unable to cast a shadow, that's problematic. So Naruto's not without option. He summons his shadow clones who all have their own shadow, albeit a weakened version of it. And they all come in, and now Neji is actually, and Naruto's staying back to test Neji. Yeah, Neji is now having a very difficult time because these Narutos and shadows are all over the place. He's popping the shadows, which does in turn he's popping the clones, which does in turn pop the shadows. But because they can swap places with each other, before a clone is sometimes hit, a shadow takes its place, takes the brunt. The chakra in Neji's hand does kind of like pop a hole in the shadow briefly, and it even flinches, let's call it that. But it quickly closes on Neji's hands. Suddenly, shadows come in. Naruto's are about to beat on him. There's 3 left, which means there's 6 left. Neji finally just goes, rotation! Just rips basically them all apart. Even the shadows against pure chakra, which remember is partly spiritual energy, so that should theoretically harm a shadow, which is connected to your soul. Even the shadows get shredded down to a certain degree. Naruto makes a bunch more clones. Neji comes in, bypasses the clones, is actually able to hit Naruto before the shadow can react, only for it to be revealed that it's the fake Naruto. Then the Naruto clones come in again. Neji does the rotation. A bunch of the clones back off. They get popped out of existence. However, the big thing here is that as Neji's rotating, he stops, and all of a sudden these giant hands, shadow hands, come out as Naruto's shadow has grown huge. Because Naruto never stops doing the feed a couple of his clones shadow to his shadow to increase its size. So this thing is actually huge, really, when you break it down over the short amount of time Naruto has been feeding it. Because he's just been nonstop clone feeding it probably at least a couple times a day. Now, granted, like I said, he can't do that in mass because that's still parts of his soul, and it's still exhausting on a chakra scale to do that, even for someone like Naruto to spam clones like that multiple times. At least early day Naruto. So, like I said, he does it passingly, but still, this is like if Neji is, I think, what's Neji's height? Actually, this is we can do this verbatim for like a scaling. What is Neji's height? Hold on. Neji Hyuga. Hyuga. All right. How tall was Neji? Let's find that out real quick. Just so we can get an idea of where Naruto's Naruto's shadow ultimately stand. All right. His height was, in part 1, he apparently had a little bit of a growth spurt. 160.1 centimeters. I'm guessing it was the 159.2, though, which centimeters to feet. Hold on. I'm sorry. I live in America where we use the non-metric system. Centimeters to inches. That's what I want. All right. So 159.2. That would translate, roughly speaking, to what that can't. Oh, I was about to say that can't be right. It says 29 inches. 62 inches. So, really? Neji was over 6 foot tall? No, sorry. Dumbass. It's 5 foot tall. Neji was over 5 foot tall. It was like in fact, he was only 5'2", if I'm doing the math right on that. Because 72 inches is 6 foot. So that would mean that's, 60 inches is only 5. Wow, Neji's actually on the short side. I know Naruto wasn't that tall either. Naruto was like one of the shortest kids in this class, but Neji's not that tall. So really, I'm seeing something big enough to like just dwarf Neji, like 20 feet tall, and the hands are just big. And Naruto's not even going all out with it right now. So it's like not getting away this time. And he just slams Neji on the ground. He's like, "Pah!" And he just slams around for basically trying to engulf him in the shadows. Like, this is over. Rotation just shreds the shadow's hand. Naruto doesn't feel it, but he almost kind of like spiritually feels like, and the clone and the shadow's like, ugh. It can reform its hand, but not quickly enough in time for Naruto to catch on. Then Neji closed the distance, like, I'm putting an end to this. At 8, you're within my 8 trigrams. 8 trigrams, 2 palms, 4 palms, 8 palms, 16 palms, 32 palms, 8 trigrams, 64 palms. And Naruto just is now floored. He goes into the whole issue of why he is the way he is, why he believes that fate is determined. All of his problems laid bare for Naruto and the crowd. Naruto says, so what? Proctor, it's over. He can no longer fight. It's like, says you, I can still fight. It's like, and initially he went to put Naruto down again. Before, Naruto, he was so tired, he just didn't have a response to it. He couldn't do anything. Here, however, the shadow can come back in and stop Neji. And it does that thus so. As it just kind of goes and just catches his hand inside of it, and then just suddenly just starts kind of wailing on him a little bit. It's just grabbing his hand before he eventually is able to beat it off with some chakra. And the shadow's like ready to help Naruto again. Naruto's just, no, come back. This is me and him. And the shadow's like, are you, Like, God, trust me. This is between me and him. I'm doing this. But meanwhile, by the way, everyone's looking at this ability, and Naruto's like, what the hell is this ability? And Orochimaru's like, he could be interesting after all. Meanwhile, the Naruto's like, so he can do it. Interesting. But you're right. It's very different from ours. If we get a chance after the tournament, maybe we'll have a talk with him. It'd be interesting to see to compare notes. And so Naruto finally just says, why fight back against in a battle you know you can't win? And obviously the great line, because people called me a failure. I'll prove them wrong. And just, and then what is this? His chakra points are opening back up. What is this chakra? Is it even chakra? And then obviously you get the visions of Nine-Tailed Fox, but again, just like with Haku, it imparts itself more into the shadow, so the shadow turns more fox-like, just roars at him, and then finally the chakras in Naruto, and they finish out their fight pretty much the same, although Naruto does use the shadow when he can to save face. He's just not having the shadow fight on his behalf. He's just fighting with his shadow because the shadow can do that. And that's not Naruto in this case. He wants to finish it mano a mano, prove it. And so Naruto and him clash, and they're about to clash again. But when it all seems lost, Naruto basically just reappears on the ground. Like there's the Naruto clone there. There's the hole in the ground. I actually don't think Naruto basically just tears through the hole. I think what he does is he hides in the hole. His shadow is attached to the clone, and then Naruto clone just appears and just boom, just whaps him. So there is no hole. So Shikamaru is not going to be able to do the trick he did previously. Although I guess technically he could. It would just be in the hole, out the hole kind of thing. Either way, Naruto wins the day, tells him, you can do it too, because unlike me, you're not a failure, the famous line. Naruto, everyone's cheering for Naruto, and then the matches all go relatively the same. Again, excuse me. The only one that was a little different would be Shikamaru, as there is no secondary hole for his shadow to pop out of, so he's got to be a bit more clever with his shadow. I still think he would have ultimately caught Tamari. He did catch Tamari. Am I right, boys? But no, I think he would have ultimately caught Tamari's shadow anyway. Naruto notes, too, is like, yeah, because he's actually paying attention. He barely paid attention in the exams, but he's paying attention that Shikamaru, oh, yeah, he manipulates his shadow, too. Maybe I could learn something from those guys. And so that's how that fight ends. Then you get Sasuke versus Gaara, which would go exactly the same. Ultimately, he chases after Gaara. Naruto has to chase after him along with Sakura and Paku. I think one thing that does happen, though, is Naruto does actually officially kill someone in the Chunin exams. It's when they're attacked by the Sound Ninja, his shadow comes, he cuts the shadow out of reflex, and I think there's a couple holes in the stadium, so the light hits him, and he just... and Naruto's like, oh God, and he just feeds it to his shadow. Just, oh God, it's like, Naruto, this is not the time to think about it. You did what you had to do. Otherwise, Sakura could have been hurt. Right. And just, right. All right, let's go. And they go after her. And ultimately, they catch up with Sasuke and Gaara. And Naruto versus Gaara begins. Now, I should note, Sasuke is more effective here, even though he was pretty much winning that fight, mostly up until Shikaku was starting to come out. And even then, he was still kind of winning that fight. But he's still trickier here because he's been learning to deal with Naruto, so he's a bit more strategic in how he handles things. But I digress. That is the end of part 6. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.